The solar eclipse will be exact this coming Thursday, June 10th, around 1 a.m. Eastern Time, thereby making Thursday the likely most intense day, but related effects can be experienced as early as Tuesday the 8th, when the moon goes into Gemini midday, and definitely Wednesday the 9th, and the day after, Friday the 11th. Signs most affected are the mutables, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, but planets other than the Sun in any of those signs can draw in the eclipse energy as well. If any of the planets are in the 20-degree range, with say a 2 to 3 degree orb on each side, which means somewhere between 17 and 23 degrees of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, then those are the planets most affected. Eclipses tend to be most important as triggers to existing planetary transits. They will intensify the feeling and the possibility of important events in either a positive or negative fashion, depending on the nature of the planets they are running into, but even more importantly, depending on what we ourselves have been doing with them. Now, accepting the fact you could get some kind of unavoidable event, the type the universe delivers, and you have no choice but to accept, and you cannot fathom how you yourself could have brought it on in any way. In many other cases, the eclipse, in concert with relevant signs and or planets, brings about events and emotions that if you are perceptive and totally honest with yourself, you will realize your previous actions helped to bring about. This could be a very negative thing, but sometimes it can be very positive too. It just depends on the nature of the momentum you previously created. Something else to consider is that solar eclipses are new moons, and all new moons, eclipse or not, tend to be low energy, in contrast to full moons when the energy tends to be on the high end. Also, where full moons correlate with fruition, culmination of something, new moons feel more like an ending and then a new beginning. So, bottom line, if you find yourself in a place you do not like, just ponder what you could start to do from this point forward, or not to do, depending on what your individual situation is. And now the eclipse effects for the president of Mar-a-Lago, who these days attracts all the planetary maladies all of the time and every which way. The eclipse is close to his Sun and Moon degrees, but most importantly, triggers the slow-moving Neptune square to both those points and signals a period of discomfort, which, as you may have noticed, he is dealing with by tuning into the self-deception, malignant imagination Neptune can lead you into. Not that this guy doesn't already do this, rather now he's doing it to desperate and comical levels. The reason I say he is dealing with, rather than will be dealing with, is because eclipse effects can be noticed days before the actual hit. And so I believe his reinstatement delusions are part of this one. And now today we are hearing that he's saying something about Facebook lockboxes that illegally gave Biden 96% of his votes. Don't even ask me how that works. And in a dazzling demonstration of his genius mental powers, he said the solution to the cyber attacks this country has been experiencing is for the US to abandon computers and go back to using paper. Perfect. That'll totally work. Onward and upward, intrepidly we march into the 19th century. This solar eclipse is not good for him. And if you remember the last one, in this same Gemini-Sagittarius polarity back in mid-December, he was then plotting the January 6th insurrection, which in the final analysis served to get him removed from his favorite Gemini communication stations, Twitter and Facebook. So he may attempt similar madness during this eclipse, but the problem is transiting Neptune is now a lot tighter to the Sun degrees, and this threatens to give him even worse results, or perhaps just stop him from doing anything whatsoever. And yes, as some have said, a lot of this does seem to be pointing to some kind of pretty serious mental decline, perhaps eventually even into madness, which with a natal Neptune co-ruling the natal 8th house, squaring the natal Mercury in the 12th house, would never be excluded as a possible final outcome.